Hey guys, welcome back. And I feel like we just kind of need to do a follow-up video on Starfield. Just, full disclosure, I have played a little bit of it. So I've played about 2.5 hours so far, and we'll get into my experience with it personally in a minute. But we've had a lot of controversy surrounding this game. Whether you want to say it's justified or not is a whole nother a topic. Again, everyone's gonna have a different opinion about the use of pronouns in the game, about the diversity and inclusion, the initiatives that you have in modern gaming these days. I can understand why some people think that the pronouns are cool and inclusive and it's, great for representation. And some people feel like it's dumb and it's pointless and it's just virtue signaling. I fall on the side of thinking it's pointless, and it's ironic because apparently there's a lot of people complaining that in the game, despite choosing your pronouns, the NPCs you talk to screw up and say she instead of they or he instead of they. I mean, it's funny that this is kind of a swing and a miss, to be honest, because obviously there's problems in the game with the dialogue not actually picking up and using the proper pronouns when the NPCs are talking to you. That being said, I felt like a much bigger issue if anybody was going to talk about it, and unfortunately I didn't get a good video of it. The character creation screen for this game, once you're playing the intro and you get to the part where you actually design your character, if you look at the presets, and the worst ones aren't even on Google here, if you look at some of the presets, they are god-awful frightening. I'm talking, there's like 30 to 40 preset characters to choose from. I think I picked this dude right here, maybe? I can't remember who it was. I was just looking for a decent-looking character to just kind of just start and get my feet wet. But they have some of the most weird, ugly-ass looking characters already created before you even have to like create your own. You could just pick one of these random people. And it looks like there was a diversity initiative just to cram as much, the self-representation, putting yourself in the game, the self-inserts, by some of the people who probably were on the design team. So I think that's actually more of a funny thing that people didn't actually pick up on, was the already established characters that you could choose from were just god-awful looking. Some of them were just horrible looking. I'm talking frumpy, dumpy. It's this idea that people want to see themselves in the video games these days, which I think is asinine. Which reminds me of like this whole Dove thing that was from earlier this year or late last year. I can't remember when this was from, where Dove is pushing for this initiative to get real women, to get real looking women into video games and to put them in there. And so what you have is just this mishmash of just frightening. It's just diversity and it's bad. It's scary. So what we have though is a lot of different people's opinions on how good Starfield actually is. The point of this video is not about the pronoun thing. I think that's been beat to death. But the actual quality of the game and the reviews about it. Across the board, some people say it's a 10 out of 10, 5 out of 5. PC Gamer has it at 75%. IGN gave it their 7, which they give every game. Some people are asking, is it the best game Bethesda's ever made? Some are saying it's a great game, it's pretty, but it's empty, there's nothing there. And I think if you look at the Steam reviews, I think that's a lot of what you'll see, is even people who've played it 50, 40 hours here, another 56 hours here, all saying it's not recommended. They're saying basically it's pointless, it gets boring, it's monotonous, it's not laid out well, it's not intuitive, it's too confusing, too many cutscenes. The fast traveling is immersion breaking. The planets are boring. There's nothing there. You can go there, but then you're limited. Basically, a lot of the same complaints we've heard already. Now, this is to be expected because honestly, the people. I don't know if Bethesda intentionally did this, but it was basically the game was sold as being a travel across the universe and explore all these planets and do all these things. Kind of, that was the game in a nutshell. And what it's turned into is it's a very slow starting game that you have to get used to after a while, and then it becomes more playable after you complete the main missions. But then if you're not the kind of person to want to just grind it out and explore an empty universe full of planets that are meaningless, it's probably not going to be the game for you. So that being said, some other issues that have been experienced by myself personally, and this is where my personal playthrough has been impeded a little bit, is the game is performing incredibly poorly. Now, I thought it was just me. I was streaming it last night, and I thought it was just my computer, because my computer is almost 4 years old. It's not top of the line. Graphics card is a 5600 XT. I've got a Ryzen 5 processor. I do not have a top of the line computer. I've got 32 gigs of RAM. And, you know, my game was installed on the hard drive. And so apparently, according to Grums, who I know everybody loves right now because of his whole hot take about the start screen, Grums was saying the same thing, that basically he's on his SSD in a 4080, and in the opening, the game was freezing and stuttering, audio cutting in and out, the game locked up again, maybe it'll come back. Then said that, you know, the SSD, he switched SSDs and it seemed to fix most of the issues, only had some glitching, you know, minor glitching here and there. I uninstalled the game and reinstalled it on my SSD. My graphics settings still set it low, and I am still facing massive audio desync, massive frame drops, and the game on low graphics, let's be honest, looks terrible. And that's not the fault of the game. Any game on low graphics is not going to look great. But this game is just performing like garbage for a lot of people. And it's funny because on Steam, you don't see a lot of that. Nobody's complaining about how the game's performing, and you have people across the board that have various specs on their PCs. But on Xbox, if you go to the Xbox reviews, you know, it's got a 3 out of 5 star. Earlier, it was 2.8 out of 5. And most of the people are either saying the game is not good enough to play, it's not enough to do, or that even after installing it on their SD, the game is just crashing, frames dropping. Somebody said it bricked their 3070, which I'd be pissed if that happened to me, let's be honest. It's just crazy. Apparently, it seems like this is a Gamepass issue where the frame dropping and the optimization is just terrible. I don't know how that works. I'm not a coder. I don't do any of that back-end stuff. But it seems like this game is unplayable for the majority of us who are on Game Pass. And I could be wrong. It could just be specific to certain systems. But it seems, based on what I've read online, that Game Pass has kind of got the raw end of the deal here where, hey, you can play this game at launch, but it's going to be virtually unplayable. So let me know what your guys' experience are down below. Again, this is not about the pronouns, not about any of this other stuff. I'm just talking about the quality of the game, and I'm curious what you guys think. So if you've played it, let me know your thoughts down below, and we'll see you on the next one.